Welcome back to Recruiter.com. In this next video, we're going to continue looking at the lookup formulas combined with the math logic and text formulas. Now let's do the exact same thing, but use the index formula. So I'm going to go through this a little bit quicker because it's pretty much the same thing with the question that's being asked. So do any customers have a pass-through balance from people who are on today's sales orders? And then if so, go ahead and put their pass-through balance plus their new order amount. And then you cannot use a helper column. And what I mean by this is that we're going to be looking up this name, this customer name, against this receivable list, which is split. So an easy way to go ahead and look up against it would be is if we put in a helper column that would combine or concatenate the first name and the last name together on this side. So I flipped it. So it used to be first name, last name in this table, and then customer name together was this table. So this is actually a much harder lookup when it's split on the table that's being looked up against. So let's just go down here and start typing at the beginning. So we needed to find out if this name exists in this receivables table. And this time we're going to use the index formula. This first argument, the array, is we want to reference this table, the receivables table. And I'll lock it up with F4, comma, the rows. So here's where it gets difficult because the row that I'm looking it up against will be this customer name, which they're combined together in one cell. And let's look up for Kim Swim because she's the first one up here in this receivables. And as you can see, her first name is in one cell, her last name is in another cell. We need to combine these two to be able to look it up, look this name up against it. So to do that, I'm going to quickly just go ahead and type it. So it's match. I'm going to match this lookup value, this Kim Swim, against the lookup array. So for the lookup array, I need to create an array formula which actually combines this column, and lock that up with F4, and using the ampersand sign, open the double quotes, put a space between this column, and then go back to referencing, so another ampersand sign, grab the last name, and lock that up with F4. So now what this does here, actually, let me just put a comma and 0 for the exact match. In this lookup array, if I evaluate that and press F9, you can see it's first name space last name, Kim space Swim, Sally space Vance, and so forth. And so now it looks up as one array, and it's not looking at it as separate columns. So let me press Control Z to get that out of text. It's not looking at the data as separate columns anymore. It's actually combined them together into one column. So let me go to the end, and I'm going to put a comma here to put in my last piece of information. And the column number, and notice that it's in brackets, so if I only had one column that I was selecting for the array, then I wouldn't have to put in a column number because obviously it's just one column. So right now I have to reference that it's in column number 3, and I'm going to close up the parentheses. Before I just press enter, I need to understand that what I did right here in this lookup array, this is actually an array formula, which means I have to finish my formula by pressing Control Shift and Enter all at the same time, to therefore tell Excel to evaluate the formula as an array formula. Now if I don't, and I just press enter, it's going to return a value error. So let me pop back in with F2. Now I'm going to hold Control Shift and enter, and you'll see it evaluates perfectly at 1580, which is what Kim Swim has, 1580. Now let me go back here. You can see it up on the formula bar. It's inputted these little curly brackets around the formula. You can't type these. As you can see, I just clicked in there and they went away. I'm going to hit Control Shift Enter, and now you can see they're back up here again. Now this tells you that it's an array formula. Now that this is working with Kim Swim, let's go ahead and test it if the person doesn't have a reference over there. So Roger, Roger, and I'm going to hold Control Shift and Enter, and it returns NA. So NA meaning no, they don't have past due balance already outstanding. Therefore, we can continue on and it's working properly. So let's put this back down to Kim Swim, and then Control Shift Enter. And I'm going to use that is error formula that we use to get the information of is this cell an error or not. And then the last piece was the if statement. So if this is true or false, so if it's true, we want to say no because they don't have an outstanding balance. But if it's false, we want to say this plus their order, their current order of today, and then close up the parentheses and then hit enter. And just like I do in all of my complex formulas, I'm going to pop in here and replace these reference cells with the actual formula. So I'm going to hit Home and Shift and come back and copy that with Control C, hit enter. Oops, see right there, I always forget Control Shift and Enter when I'm entering in these array formulas. It's very easy to forget. So I'm going to get rid of that reference, Control V. This is now an array formula. So I have to hit Control Shift and Enter. And I'm going to pop in here. I'm referencing B17 at the beginning, so let me replace that real quick. So Shift, Home, Control C, and Control Shift Enter so that it doesn't go away. Get in here, replace B17 with that formula, Control Shift and Enter, and I'm actually going to grab this next, so Control Shift Enter. Then on 16, Shift and Home, back up one, Control C, Control Shift Enter, then pop in F2, come to B16 at the end here, replace that with this array formula, Control Shift and Enter. These are no longer needed. This is my last formula here. I'm going to hold Shift and Home, grab the entire formula, even the equal sign, copy it, and you can see actually returns no because it's an array formula and I didn't hit Control Shift Enter. And I'm going to paste it, Control V, Control Shift Enter. And I'm going to remove this formula, this is no longer needed. Copy this formula up, and everything works properly. So you can see I have the same answer as I did in the previous video. Now let's just pop in here and take a look at what we've done. So if, again, this is logic, this is information, index, that's a lookup formula, match, this is more lookup. And we have in here the ampersand signs, so that's more text. And then if we look at this entire piece, that's an array formula. And then coming down here at the end, obviously this is a little bit of math, so bring back the past due balance, then add it to the total amount of their sales orders today. Control Shift Enter. And we're doing all of this all in one formula. And you may be wondering, like, when is this ever going to come up? And trust me, the better you get at Excel, the more complex you'll be thinking, and therefore you're going to be writing more complex formulas.